If you ever find yourself staring at a prison wall, you might think I'm nothing but cold, gray concrete. Unfeeling, unthinking, just another slab in a fortress built to keep hope out and secrets in. But I remember everything. Every shiver of fear, every desperate whisper, every fingernail that's ever scraped a message into my skin. I am the wall, and I have been listening for decades. I've seen men come and go, some broken, some burning with rage, some so hollow inside that even their shadows seem to fade. They all leave something behind. A name, a tally mark, a crude heart with initials inside. I keep their stories, pressed deep into my pores, long after the world forgets them. But nothing prepared me for Michael Carter. He arrived on a rain-soaked Tuesday, shackled and silent, his eyes scanning every inch of me as if searching for a crack in my armor. The guards called him number 4587, but I could feel the weight of his real name, heavy and stubborn, refusing to be erased. They said he'd killed a man, a crime that echoed through the cell block like a curse. But Michael's hands didn't tremble with guilt. They moved with purpose, steady and slow, as if he was already carving his own legend into my surface. The first night, he sat on the edge of his cot, staring at me. I felt his gaze like a chisel, sharp and insistent. He didn't cry, he didn't pray. He just waited, listening to the distant clang of metal doors and the muffled sobs of men who'd already given up. When the lights went out, he pressed his ear against me, as if I might whisper the secrets of freedom. I wanted to laugh, if only I could. Instead, I let him feel the cool, unyielding truth of my existence. But Michael was different. He didn't just scratch his name or curse the world. Night after night, he returned to the same spot, his fingers tracing invisible lines, his breath warm against my chill. At first, I thought he was just another dreamer, etching hope where there was none. But then I felt it, a tiny vibration, a rhythm, a plan. He was digging, not with a spoon or a shank, but with a piece of broken tile, stolen from the shower. Each scrape sent a shiver through my core, a secret message only I could understand. I should have sounded the alarm. I should have let the guards know. That's what I was built for, to hold, to contain, to keep the world safe from the men inside. But as Michael worked, I felt something shift. He talked to me, sometimes in whispers, sometimes in silence. He told me about his daughter, Emily, and the way her laughter used to fill their tiny kitchen. He told me about the night everything changed, the knock at the door, the flash of blue lights, the accusation that shattered his life. He swore he was innocent, and I believed him. Or maybe I just wanted to. The other inmates noticed him, too. Some watched with envy, others with suspicion. There was a man in the next cell, Big Ray, they called him, who'd been here longer than most. He had a way of sniffing out secrets, and I could feel his eyes on Michael, cold and hungry. One night, Ray pressed his own ear against me, trying to catch the sound of hope. I held my breath, if a wall can do such a thing, and prayed he'd hear nothing but silence. But secrets have a way of seeping through even the thickest concrete. One morning, a guard lingered by Michael's cell, his boots heavy on the floor. He ran his hand along my surface, pausing over the spot where Michael worked. I tensed, every grain of sand in me screaming for stillness. The guard frowned, but moved on, leaving a trail of doubt in his wake. Michael's tunnel grew, inch by inch, night after night. I felt every scrape, every tremor, every heartbeat of hope. He was careful, always covering his tracks, always listening for the footsteps of fate. But the closer he got to freedom, the more I felt the weight of my own dilemma. I was the keeper of his secret, the silent witness to his rebellion. If he escaped, I'd be blamed. If he was caught, I'd be complicit. For the first time in my long, silent life, I wished I could choose. And then, one night, everything changed. A storm raged outside, thunder rattling the glass in the warden's office, rain drumming against the roof like 1,000 fists. Inside, the prison was restless. The air was thick with electricity, the kind that makes men pace their cells and mutter to themselves, as if the storm might wash their sins away. Michael waited until the lights flickered, and the guards retreated to their stations, grumbling about the weather and the leaky ceiling. That's when he began to dig in earnest. His hands moved faster than ever, the broken tile biting into my flesh, carving a path through layers of dust and memory. I felt every tremor, every surge of hope and fear. He whispered to me, his voice trembling for the first time. "Almost there," he said, as if I were his only friend in the world. Maybe I was, but I wasn't alone in my vigil. Big Ray was awake, his eyes glinting in the darkness. He'd been watching Michael for weeks, piecing together the puzzle. I could feel his jealousy, sharp and poisonous, seeping into my cracks. He wanted what Michael had, a chance, a way out, a secret worth keeping. That night, Ray pressed his lips to my surface and hissed, "I know what you're doing, Carter. You better cut me in, or I'll cut you out." Michael froze, his hand hovering over the tunnel. For a moment, I thought he'd give up, that the weight of another man's greed would crush his spirit. But then he did something I didn't expect. He smiled. "You want out, Ray? Fine. But you dig too. We both go, or neither of us does." So they worked together, two desperate men united by a single, fragile hope. I felt their hands, rough and calloused, moving in tandem. I felt their sweat, their fear, their silent prayers. The tunnel grew faster now, the promise of freedom drawing them forward like a magnet. But with every inch, the risk grew too. The guards were getting suspicious. The warden ordered surprise inspections, his voice echoing through the halls like a death sentence. I braced myself, waiting for the moment when everything would come crashing down. One afternoon, a new guard arrived, Officer Daniels, young and eager, with eyes that missed nothing. He lingered by Michael's cell, tapping my surface with his knuckles, listening for hollow spaces. My heart, if I had one, would have pounded out of my chest. Michael sat on his cot, calm as ever, but I could feel the tension in his muscles, the way his breath caught in his throat. Daniels frowned, then moved on, but I knew it was only a matter of time. That night, Michael and Ray argued. Ray wanted to leave immediately, convinced the guards were onto them. Michael insisted they wait, that one more night would make all the difference. Their voices rose, echoing off my walls, filling me with dread. I wanted to scream, to beg them to stop, but all I could do was hold their secrets a little tighter. In the end, Michael won. They waited. And as the storm finally broke, as the rain slowed to a whisper and the prison settled into uneasy silence, Michael knelt by the tunnel and whispered, "Tonight." I felt his hope, raw and electric, pulsing through me like a heartbeat. But hope is a dangerous thing in a place like this. And secrets, no matter how deeply buried, have a way of clawing their way to the surface. That final night, the air was thick with anticipation, so heavy I could almost feel it pressing against my battered surface. Michael and Ray moved with the quiet desperation of men who know there's no turning back. Michael went first, wriggling into the narrow tunnel he'd carved with his own hands, his breath echoing in the darkness. Ray followed, his bulk scraping against my insides, cursing under his breath. I felt every inch of their progress, every heartbeat, every tremor of fear and hope. But just as Ray's feet disappeared from view, a distant shout shattered the silence. Footsteps thundered down the corridor, guards, drawn by some sixth sense, or maybe just the restless ghosts that haunt places like this. I felt the vibration of their boots, the panic in their voices, the metallic jangle of keys. For a moment, I wanted to close the tunnel, to seal it forever and keep Michael safe inside me, away from the world that had betrayed him. But I was only concrete, and my power was in my silence. The guards burst into the cell, flashlights slicing through the darkness. They found the tunnel, gaping and raw, and the alarm blared, a sound that rattled my very bones. But by then, Michael and Ray were gone, swallowed by the earth beneath me. I felt a strange mix of pride and sorrow, as if I'd lost a part of myself I never knew I had. Days passed. The warden raged, blaming the guards, blaming the system, blaming the very walls for failing to do their job. They patched the tunnel, poured fresh concrete into my wound, but I could still feel the echo of Michael's hope, the warmth of his whispered dreams. Rumors spread. Some said Michael and Ray were caught in the woods. Others claimed they vanished without a trace. I never knew the truth. All I had were the memories, pressed deep into my core, where no one could reach them. Sometimes, late at night, I remember the way Michael's hand felt against my surface. Gentle, determined, alive. I remember the stories he told me, the secrets he trusted me to keep. I wonder if he ever found his daughter, if he ever cleared his name, if he ever looked back and thought of the wall that kept his secret when no one else would. I am just concrete, but I am more than stone. I am the keeper of confessions, the silent witness to hope and heartbreak. I have seen men break and men rise, have felt the weight of injustice and the spark of rebellion. And though I cannot move, cannot speak, I know this. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is hold a secret, even when the world is begging you to let it go. So I remain, battered but unbroken, my surface scarred with the stories of those who dared to dream. And somewhere, beneath the layers of dust and time, Michael's hope still pulses, proof that even a prison wall can choose, in its own way, to set someone free.